back to Eye on the Craft. Today we're going to be opening the bungalow, and we're going to be starting the building of a new miniature house in a 1/4 inch scale. So this is a different kind of video this time around. It is not a how-to Dollar Tree video or a haul. It is a building a miniature dollhouse video. I do like, as our name says, Eye on the Craft. I like to keep my eye on the craft, and it's more than one thing. Even though I do love my Dollar Tree videos, I do like to do different things, and dollhouse miniatures is one of the things that I like to do. So you will see a lot of different kinds of craft videos on my channel. So if you're new on my channel, welcome. Please subscribe just by clicking the link below, and click on that bell after you do so, so that you can get notified every time I upload a new video. And those of you that have been here before, welcome back. Thank you for your support, and for everything, all the kind words that I get constantly. Thank you. So let's open this and see what we have inside this kit. So the first thing that we have, of course, as every good kit, and this kit is made by Suzanne and Andrew's Miniatures. I don't know if you can see that clearly there. And this is a pretty old kit. I would say at least 6 or 7 years old, if not more. It is pretty cool. I do love their stuff. I've bought from them many times. This was bought at a Philadelphia miniature show. Like I said, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Unfortunately, I have not had time to do anything with it until now. So, oh, that was pretty thick. These are the instructions. You know, step 1, step 2, step 3, and it just walks you through everything, which is pretty fantastic. Also gives you all these pictures of how each step should look, so that you can see if, you know, oh, wait a minute, that shouldn't have been there, etc., etc. A diagram of all the pictures, all the pieces, sorry, and an addendum to finish the exterior to make it look in a stucco way. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Haven't decided yet, but just plain like this is where we're going to start, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the exterior. So that's what comes out first. And then we have the bag. Oops. Of all the pieces, windows, doors, shingles, siding, I think, steps, which I think is pretty cool. All right, so for now, we're going to put this and this to the side, because we're really not going to be using that right now. So let's open up the bag and see what we have in here. Okay. Let's lay it all out, and that's where that figure where the figure sheet comes in handy, so that we can see exactly what we have and exactly what we need. same. It's almost like organizing for a puzzle. Same with the same, similar with the similar. We have this laid out, and we're going to check with our instructions and make sure that we have all the pieces, which is something that unfortunately if I don't have, I'm going to have to figure out, because by now it's been so long that I wouldn't be able to go back to them. This kit was made in November of 2000, so that gives you an idea how long ago, and I didn't buy it until probably, I said 6 to 7 years. We may be talking more like 10 or 12 years at this point, and it sat in one of my bins until now. All right, so let's take a look at this. See if you can, I think you can see it there. See all the pieces, and we can see how they match. And so we're going to just check and see, make sure that we have the pieces that we need. See, this one is that, matches that perfectly. And we have this. And this. That matches. So I'm going to check all of these diagrams to my layout of pieces, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I have all my pieces. I'm going on step 1. And step 1 is to prep the wood and stain and seal floors. That is step 1. So these are the floors. This is the first floor. This is the second floor. And so this is a 12 by 12 ceramic tile, and that's what I use to work on. Nothing sticks to it, and it makes it easy to clean up after. So the first thing I've done, this is a regular nail file. And on the smoother side, rather than the coarser, just smooth it out. That's all. Doesn't need a lot of work, because the wood comes pretty nice. Now I'm going to see if I can get away with using just the Minwax wood paint pen, I guess. Basically, it's a stain in the shape of a marker, and it's golden oak. And I don't know if I have enough here. I have a red mahogany one that I think is probably has more, but it's too dark for what I want. So this is golden oak, and I'm going to see if I have enough of this. But these are what I use. Usually if I want to do just plain wood furniture inside a miniature house, I use these wood stain markers to finish the tiny little furniture. This house, I think it's mostly painted furniture. It's all going to be from kits. I don't think there's going to be very much that I have to make myself. I am trying to make this as a Miss Lydia Pickett's house from a line that Suzanne and Andrew's Miniatures had many, many moons ago that has since retired. So that's what's going to be inside. So I'm really not going to be doing a lot of wood furnishings because I think they're mostly painted. So I am going to see if I have enough on this. If not, I will find a can. And let's see if I have enough in here to do this. And if it will make a difference, because it may not. Yeah, see, there is a problem already. It is too light. It almost seems like it's already golden oak on this one. So that's not going to work. I may end up doing the red mahogany anyway. Shake it really well. And let's try the red mahogany. And like I said, it's a little darker floor than what I wanted to have. But let's see. I may actually like it. I should have had some paper towels on the handy. All right, let's see how this looks. That's not too bad, is it? I think maybe that's what we're going to do. All right, I like what I'm seeing. I like how it's coming out. And that's basically what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, until I get it to the color that I like. And then I will let it dry and seal it with water-based varnish. I want to do them in satin because I don't want it gloss. So far, I like how it's coming out. And here is the floor for the second story of the little bungalow. Now, this has to dry for probably 24 hours so that I don't end up taking some of the stain off when I put the sealer on. So this is going to sit overnight, and then tomorrow I'll seal it and it'll be ready to start building. Okay, I am going to do the same thing to this piece, and then I'll be back and we'll seal it. Okay, be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Our floors are dry, and the satin sealer, varnish sealer is on and dry. And now we're going to put the sides on. We're going to read what our instructions say. Set the base on a flat surface and dry fit the left and right end walls flush at the back and with the notch towards the front of the house. Apply glue to the end of the base floor. Install the end walls. Make sure they are flush on the back edge and bottom edge of the end walls are flush with the bottom of the base floor. Use masking tape to hold in place to dry. Simple enough. Now, first thing we need to figure out is, what do they consider the front and the back of the house? So I'm going to take a quick look here. Okay. Rear roof panel, which is the open part of the house. And this is the front of the house. I'm going to put it like that. This is our left. This is our right, according to this, right? And it'll go like this. And they're both flush. And again, the notch that they're talking about. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. There's a notch there. And that goes towards the front of the house, which we've established that is this, according to our diagram of the different parts, which is why this is so important. Tells us front, back, left, right. Okay, so here we are. So now this will go this way. So I'm going to, oops, I think I pulled it out a little too much. Close and open. And we're going to put a little bit of glue. I am not going to overdo it with the glue, and I'm going to tell you why. The more glue you put on it, my experience has been that you end up with, number one, it takes forever to dry, and number two, it ends up cracking. One of the reasons you have to be really, really careful with wood glue is, for the most part, now this is my first time using the Gorilla brand wood glue, but the bottom line is you can't paint over it. So wherever it dried and wherever there was some glue, you're kind of stuck because you just can't paint over it and cover it. It becomes like this, almost like a protection barrier, and you can't put anything on it. So I am going to use my painter's tape. Well, this is masking tape. It's better to use painter's tape, frankly, because it comes off easier, but at the same time, it doesn't really allow you to get a good grip either. All right. Now make sure that when you put your masking tape, that your pieces are still flush and you're not bending it like I just did that. You got to be careful. And the idea is just basically to keep it in place until the glue dries. We are done steps 1 and 2. We have the first walls up, and now we wait until it dries to then put the next wall up. Okay? So I'll see you in a few. So I'm going to eyeball where I think the floor may be and paint right up to there some of the green. I know I want that first floor to have that very, very pale green color in the living room. I don't know if you can see clearly. Oop, I gotta do it like side. There you go. And you can see a little bit of the green right there. And I did the green a little further up, and I actually think that I stayed a little too low, but it's easier to fill it in than it is to take it out. So I'm erring on the side of caution. And there it is, my little green. Now I'm going to do the top part of this side where the bathroom is going to go. But as you can see, there's the doorway to go outside. And that's where my kitchen is. So I lose half a wall there. You know, little miniature houses are not that different from your regular home. I mean, you plan kitchens, you plan windows and doors and furniture placement, and so you are doing the same thing. I am going to put this down right now and let it sit and dry, and I'll see you again in a couple of minutes. Okay, now I did some work off camera, a few of the steps, because they're basically just gluing little pieces together before you actually put it onto the front of the house. So the first one is, this is the inner wall, the inner outside wall, they call it. And so this is basically just prep work. You paint it. That's basically what you do. Oops, wrong side. And then that is going to go here. And as you can see, it notches up right under those little hooks. Okay? So that's going to get glued there. And then the next two steps are basically putting these little side walls on these outer, if you remember the picture. Let's look at the picture. We're building this little bump out before we actually put it or glue it onto the house. So we have this little guy with this little teeny wall, and we have the tiny little guy with two, one very narrow, one a little wider, and they're painted inside, because once you glue this together, you won't be able to paint. So I just painted it in the ivory that most of the inside will be. So we're going to dry fit this. That goes there. Okay, that goes there. And this little guy goes right in front, nice and snug. Perfect. The point of that, I'm not quite sure, but it does make for a nice aesthetic in the front of the bungalow. I will tell you, you can just leave this out and finagle a nice cute little door there and just leave it like that and put in the wall on the other side. I have bashed many kits to make them look the way I want them to look. This bungalow, however, I'm going to do what the instructions say. I'm going to make it exactly the same way. No kit bashing this time. because I like it. I think it's really cute. And I think once I show you the little furniture, when we get to that step, you'll see that it's just a really nice match in style. Okay, so we are ready to glue this stuff together. So we get our glue. This time because I painted, I'm going to make sure that I don't have paint in the way. This is, believe it or not, a Dollar Tree makeup brush. It's a kabuki brush from Dollar Tree. And I use it for all my projects, my wood projects, my ceramic projects. It's just a nice soft brush to clean off any kind of dust. As you can see, we tried to glue these as straight as possible, but they are a little bit too far in at the top, and we want these edges here flush. So we may need to kind of hold it there for a minute so that they get at least tacky enough that they're straight. I usually have a wet rag, but I haven't done that this morning. And over here the same. We want to bring it back a little so that they're flush to each other. And this one is worse than the other side. But we want them flush to each other. So I was looking at the furniture to get a better idea of what kind of look do I want for the exterior. Now their suggestion is a like a rustic stucco. And that's definitely not in alliance with the design of the furniture. So I'm thinking English cottage. So here's another thing that I do. I know a lot of friends that I have that are also miniaturists. They do it as well. We go online and search for architectural design, because you're building a house. You're just building a tiny little house. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking at how houses are built, how they're designed. And so I have a cousin who is an architect, and he cracks up because, you know, we start talking design and I tell him, this is the look that I have in mind. What am I looking for as far as going online to find pictures to recreate it? And so he starts talking to me about design and styles and, you know, who does what. And he eventually starts laughing and he goes, I can't believe we're talking about a tiny 1/4 inch house. And I'm like, yeah, well, but I want it to look a certain way. It isn't about aesthetic accuracy. It's about how I want it to look. And so I ask the people who know and I seek guidance. Now I'm lucky I have an architect in the family that I can turn to, but otherwise I Google everything. So you can Google, and I'm going to do that to find some pictures of exteriors of English cottage, and I will take a look and see what I can use to finish the exterior. All right, so now that is glued, taped in place. Move this back a little bit. Then comes the bigger peak. And we're going to do the bigger peak, and it goes here. So we make note of where we're going to glue. We're going to glue on the edge of this little wall. We're going to glue really tiny down here. And that's pretty much the only places that it's attached. And the reason you want to be careful is you don't want to put glue where it doesn't go, because then believe me, what you have is a mess on your hands. Right here. And this little teeny bitty. Because I don't know what the outside is going to look like, as I was saying earlier. Still haven't decided. So I want to make sure that I don't have any kind of excess glue that is going to interfere with anything I put on it. It may be covered, or I may have to paint it and do a texture or some sort of paint technique, and that means that wherever that glue is, it's not paintable. Wood glue is not paintable for some reason. All right, so there is the first inner wall, second inner wall actually, but the first inner peak. And now let's see where we need to put glue on this little guy. Okay, basically all the way around that step base and the side of the walls. Okay, so we're going to press it nice and tight. Make sure that they're touching. Sometimes they push out and you end up with actually no contact on one of the sides. And my nails, that's why my manicures don't last, because I find that my best tool are my nails. Okay, so now we're going to, here's my tape. I'm going to do a big tape all the way around, just to make sure. I'm going to take these little ones off, just to make sure that it sits for a few hours. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. This is really tacky for masking tape. All right, this is nice and tight. My ends are flush, which is very important. These are nice and tight in there. I still have a little bit more now that I did that tight. Some more came out. I want that out of there. Okay. And there is our first floor. Nice and drying, tight and snug, and waiting to dry. Okay. So in my next video, we're going to continue building. We'll start with our little side porch. Let me show you the picture. We'll start with the side porch and then start working on, once we put the side porch, we'll start working on the inside walls and second floor and roof. Okay, so I will see you on in our next video, where we hopefully can finish putting together the house, and the third video will be start finishing it. And I may do separate videos for putting the little furniture kits together. Let's see how the first part goes, which is let's build a house. Okay, so there it is, first floor of our bungalow in 1/4 inch scale. And I will see you next time to do the second floor and inside walls. So in the meantime, keep your eye on the craft. Bye.